Right, students, we have this nice scatter plot. We can build even something nicer. Let's type here same two-way scatter. Also, let's put this symbol here. This two lines here. You can Google to find. I don't know how to explain to get these symbols. It is obtained by using Shift together, pressing Shift button and one button next to the Enter button. So you can copy it from maybe internet, or you can find how these symbols are obtained. So two-way scatter, and let's also type here lfit, and let's also recopy this too. I'm simply drawing a linear fit line, and also after scatter plot, let's put here comma and type m label and code 2. All right. So you can see what this line of command produces. We have scatter plot and labels for each point. You see, scatter plot for two variables. We are labeling each point, each observation with code 2, which is country names. You can see country names next to dots. And the second part of this command produces a linear regression line, linear fit of this tool. Yeah, you can see how nice it looks. Yeah? You can use such graphs to motivate your research. You can say that, hey, if we look at simple relationship between two variables, we can see this positive linear relationship, and maybe there is some story to tell. All right? So keep in mind, you can use this nice table. Next, what we are going to do, we can look at some other indicators. Yeah, our interest variable is GDP per capita. All right. We can also use oil factor for indirect investment. So let's now regress logarithm of GDP per capita on human capital index for indirect investment and oil. So here is the regression outcome. You can see dependent variable is logarithm of GDP per capita. How it is measured, you can always go to your Excel file and metadata. You can see it here. It is in current US dollars, right? FDI is in percent of as net inflows percentage of GDP, oil range percentage of GDP, and human capital index uses scale between 0 and 1, right? So when you want to interpret your coefficients, you will need this units of measurement. Yeah. Now you can use this data table and you can interpret your findings. Actually, R squared is quite large. About 80% of variation in logarithm of GDP per capita is explained by human capital index, foreign direct investment, and oil factor. You can see that FDI, so human capital index, has highest magnitude effect. You see, and it's statistically very significant. I'm suspicious that this human capital index also includes GDP per capita. That's why it's that large. Yeah. How can you interpret this coefficient here? First of all, the effect is statistically significant. You can see p-value is small and absolute value of t-statistics is quite large. And how will you interpret this index? Guys, you can see it's 8.8, but since we know the range of human capital index, we know that it is between 0 and 1. And if I say increasing human capital index by 1 unit, that's huge step. Yeah, all observations are in this interval between 0 and 1. And that's why it's not useful to say that I'm increasing human capital index by 1 unit. Maybe you can say that I'm increasing it by 0.1 unit, then what will be the interpretation? You have log level, therefore you are increasing human capital index by, let's say, 1%. You can say 1%, 0.01. Then GDP per capita will increase by, so I'm dividing this coefficient by 100, right? And then multiplying by 100. Yeah. Therefore, I say that GDP per capita increases by 8.8%. If you say that human capital index increases by 10% or 0.1 unit, then GDP per capita will increase by by 88%, right? So make sure that you are providing correct interpretation. FDI has counterintuitive coefficient. Possibly there is omitted variable bias because more investment somehow lower human per capita GDP. Maybe it makes sense. FDI is high in poor countries. Yeah, foreign capital inflows into these countries. Yeah, that's why this there can be reverse causality. I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe this negative effect is reasonable. And oil factor, you can see that it is statistically significant, and you can say that if you increase oil share by 1 unit, it means that you increase oil by the share of oil in total GDP, oil rents in total GDP by 1%, GDP per capita will increase by 3.6%, right? So you can provide this interpretation of these coefficients, right?